Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
I guess we saw it about twice the height of the treetops from several hundred metres away, something that looked like at first like a blimp, but as we drove closer to it, it looked like a circle of round orange lights. Except in those lights, there appeared to be figures standing in the shadows.
Inside,
behind the orange lights, you could see silhouettes of tall, dark figures. And I had enough time to say to my husband, look at the people in the windows, when it shot off to the left of us, and in a couple of seconds it was totally gone.
Static magnetic ship right now on the Earth, doing 66,000 miles an hour right now in an orbit around the sun, and we're all astronauts in that respect.
Have you ever gone up close enough to touch one to see what was inside?
Bill, in August the 24th of 1953, I went aboard one for about 20 minutes.
What was it like? What happened?
Well, the interior walls were what looked like mother of pearl plastic, like we put on toilet seats and for decoration. The light inside seemed to come from everywhere. The instrument panel wasn't like anything I'd ever seen before, and all of my years since 1927 in the air game. And they had a compartment in the wall which both cleans and deodorizes their clothes by some light process, which required no water, soap, or detergents, or a washing machine. Giant rock.
I think what's important is that we have identified some very, very interesting, anomalous type of aircraft. Let's call them aircraft. Things that don't have any obvious flight surfaces, any obvious forms of propulsion, and maneuvering in ways that include extreme maneuverability beyond, I would submit, the healthy G-forces of a human or anything biological. Hypersonic velocities, low observability, positive lift. Again, seemingly defying the laws of aerodynamics.
Executives, Coastal Bend, and Corpus Christi, Texas. And you're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma. Buying or selling, visit me at kellygreenrealtor.com or visit me on my Facebook page, Kelly Green Realtor. See you there.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to episode number 46. And this one's called Real UFO Talk. And I'm going to have a special guest on today. His name is Michael Beavers. And we're going to get into some really, really deep conversations about his pages, YouTube, Facebook, and the anomalies that he's seen, that he's recorded on YouTube. And we're just going to talk about UFOs, aliens, everything we can think of, and questions that you probably wanted answered. But before we get going, I want to welcome everybody to Alien Strand Podcast. You can catch us on Alien Strand there on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and alienstrand.com. Go check us out there. And you can also download the Alien Strand app. It's a player that you can download. It's actually for Android. So just go to your Google Play there and you'll end up type in Alien Strand and it'll take you right to it. You'll see our little logo there. Download it and you'll be the first ones to get these podcasts when they come out, right? And as long as you sign in, you'll be able to comment on them on the very bottom. You can like, share. You can actually follow as well. And you can actually do this on other platforms like Spotify, iHeart. Click a heart, click a follow, click a like. That way, I know that you guys are getting these podcasts, and it's spread all over many countries already, and we're getting all over. And I really appreciate that from everybody that's listening to Alien Strand. And if you want to be a guest on the show, just give me a call at 361-245-8000. Again, that's 361-245-8000. Call me at any time, or send me an email or an instant message if you want to be on the show. You got a UFO abduction, a nice video, anything with Bigfoot, anything the unknown. You want to get it off your chest, you want to talk about it, you go ahead and call me on that number, or go to the Facebook Alien Strand. There you'll see right below our image, it'll say call now. You can just click that and it'll ring me right straight to my cell phone. So you'll be talking to me directly, and then we'll set you up on one of our shows. Okay, so I've had some past guests that really, really good, a lot of good information has come out of them, and I decided to talk to Michael, about all the stuff that he's experienced and what he's doing out there for the UFO community. And I wanted to get him on the show because he's just like Alien Strand. They're doing the same thing, putting the information out, kind of analyzing things, letting you figure out what you think it's possibly real or not real, right? Or we just don't know about yet, right? So they're doing that as well. And it's just one of those things where he contacted me, and I decided to put him on the show right away because he's got a lot of insight, a lot of information on a lot of things that you probably wanted to ask about, and it's just something for you, right? It's something for you to get more information about. That way you can tell your friends about it. If you're having a nice conversation, somebody brings up UFOs, and you can say, hey, I heard it here on Alien Strand, or I heard it here, wherever you heard it from. It doesn't matter, as long as you got the information. And the good thing about it is that Alien Strand is giving you that information straight up this podcast, right? So what I want to do right now is I want to bring in Mr. Michael Beavers to the show, so that way we can start conversating on all these nice topics, all right? So let's go ahead and get him on the show now. All right, so on the phone right now we have Mr. Michael Beavers. Are you there, brother?
Yep, I'm here, man. It's definitely awesome to be on your show.
Nice, and thank you for calling me. Really, and I have to be truthful about this. I mean, you're the very first one to actually hit the call now button. It's there on the Facebook page, and I really do appreciate that, because what that did was it called me directly to my phone, and I was able to talk to you about coming on the show, and then you send me some links to a couple of your show that you do with another gentleman, and a few of them. And also a video. So can you kind of tell the audience here of what you're about and how everything kind of like started for you?
For sure. So everything, I would say, really started for me the first time I ever saw a UFO. And at the time, I knew it was something weird, but I was a kid. I was only about 10 years old. I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, and it's a lot of high rises. We lived in a 24 apartment building. And me and my brother one night, he would have been about 9. We're only a year apart. We were actually just kind of hanging out, staying up late, watching cartoons. And at one point, we were looking out the window, and this large cylinder that it didn't have any markings, we didn't hear any noise or anything, just kind of floated through our apartment building, like not through the building itself, but it's between our building and another building. It was called Blair East and Blair Plaza. And this object just kind of floated in between the two buildings out in front of our building. And we've seen helicopters and stuff. Living in Maryland, there's a lot of military bases and stuff. And at that age, we knew we were looking at something really, really weird. And we woke up my grandparents and stuff, and of course nothing was there. But that was the first time I ever saw something. And at that age, I didn't know what I really saw. But as I got older and kind of got more into UFOs and that kind of extraterrestrial stuff, it made me realize that I'd actually seen something absolutely amazing. And now I've thought about what it could be and everything, and I've got no answer. So I consider it my first ever UFO sighting.
Wow. And, and it's just like, when you see something like that, 9 times out of 10, it's just going to be there just for that split second or that moment. So when you called your grandparents back, and of course, when they show up, there's nothing there, right? Hence, they think you're just making it up, like you were saying. But so then, what happened after that? I mean, how did you get more deeply into this?
So basically, when I got a little bit older and I kind of got a little more into the subject, I thought it was really cool and everything, but I didn't go after it as trying to figure it out or look for UFOs or anything. I thought it was a cool idea, but I never really looked into it until about a couple years ago, May 3rd, 2018, I believe. Mm-hmm. I'm in my apartment in Springfield, Oregon, and it's just a regular evening. It was probably about 8:30, maybe 8:45 p.m., and I happen to look out the window, and there's these red orbs they're massive. You can see from the height they are and the distance they are from me, they're about the size of a small car. And these 3 lights are in a perfect triangle formation. Like it looks as if they're almost attached to something, but there's nothing there. Wow. And they floated from like the south half of the sky. Sorry about that. South half of the sky towards the north. And that's about the time that I started filming. And this is my first ever recorded UFO sighting. And I grabbed my phone and I'm hitting record, and I'm screaming for my roommate. I'm yelling, Brandy. Mm-hmm. And everybody loves that part of the video because they think it's so hilarious. But I was panicked because I was like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. And so I start recording, and as I'm recording this thing, my wife actually calls me from the convenience store she works at, about 2 streets over from where we live. Uh-huh. And her and a couple customers were actually looking at it in the sky, and she was calling me to tell me to look out the window and see if I could see it. Wow. To this day, I wish I didn't stop recording, and I kept recording on the video, but I wasn't prepared to see a UFO that night or anything, so it was all just in the moment. It was just the most craziest thing I've ever seen.
Right. Now, let me ask you this: did anybody else in that area film or see this actual this triangular shape that you saw as well?
So I posted it in a local group literally right after it happened. Like within 10 minutes, I posted it on this group called Wayne County Caught on Camera, which is the county I live in. Mm-hmm. And I got almost 800 comments of people talking about it. Only about 4 or 5 of them actually said, hey, one of them I specifically remember saying, hey, my husband had actually seen this around the same time. I was like, what is that? And then a couple other people saying, hey, I think I saw that. And so I got some feedback on it, but I wasn't ever able to locate a video of it or anybody else that would give me a full description of them seeing it. I did get contacted by a local Bigfoot investigator named Tobe Johnson, who actually drove about an hour and a half drive from where he was in Oregon to where I am in Springfield, and actually did an interview with me fresh after it happened. And you could just hear in the whole interview, I am like hysterical about this thing because I'm like, you have no idea. You would have had to have seen it. And I'm showing him the video. I've got a couple still pictures of it. And I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And it was really cool. So I did get a lot of positive feedback on it and stuff. And everybody just thought it was absolutely wild.
Nice. And maybe what I see a lot of Bigfoot activity as far as I go a lot of these research sites. I go to a lot of these groups and a lot of them do believe that UFOs and Bigfoots coincide together, or Sasquatch, right? That every time that you see a UFO, that you'll probably be seeing a Bigfoot around there as well. Have you heard of this?
Yeah. Actually, the guy Tobe Johnson that interviewed me, he's a pretty well-known Bigfoot hunter here in Oregon, and he does his own show and stuff like that. But he's got all this evidence of footprints and everything else. And he was talking to me about how the reason he came to interview me so fast was because when you get a major UFO sighting, there tends to be more Bigfoot activity, which is really strange. There is some comparisons you could put towards them. I mean, a lot of times you've heard in old stories that when people see UFOs up close, they smell burning sulfur type smells, and you get the same kind of reports with Bigfoot activity and stuff. Right. And I think there's definitely some comparisons there that are pretty crazy.
Right, and I had an actual guest on my show. Her name's Crystal, and we talked about UFOs and Bigfoot or Sasquatch, and we kind of spoke about that. I asked her if she thought that they were some kind of alien related, and she believes that yes, she thinks that they probably are some kind of a hybrid, right? And we talk about it in depth a little bit on that, but let's go back to your sighting on that. Now, when you say that that the lights were about as big of a small vehicle, right? When we watch videos, or we watch videos on our phones, or we watch videos on the TV, a lot of times the scale, because of the camera, the lens that's on there, you're not actually grabbing the whole effect of what's actually happening when you're standing there filming it, because you're pretty much looking right through your camera or the screen, and then you're looking over it with your own eyes, and you can actually see the scale of this thing, right? So is that how you kind of put it together? That, and in other words, did you get that wow factor? I didn't realize that these lights were that big.
Yeah, that was actually the part that probably stuck out most to me about it, and why it caught my eye without even actually intending to really look out the window. And when I seen it from where I live, it's kind of a big townhouse complex. There's some mountains they're kind of smaller mountains, but they're about a 15-20 minute drive from where I am, so they're kind of far, but they sit behind our complex and everything. Right. And so when I seen them, these were almost above the mountain range, which would have been pretty far. And the lights in the video, you can tell, are bigger because they're able to be seen across the screen in the sky, but it's hard to tell really the size. But from where I was, and judging where the crafts or what they were they were huge. They would have had to have been the size of a small car, like a Fit car or like a Prius type deal, but just a smaller car. They were huge, and the way they moved, it was almost as if they were connected. But it was strange. They took up a big chunk of the sky and just kind of went across, but they didn't seem like they were too high in the air. They were still pretty low in the sky, but just a little further distance. But to catch them on the video like that and them show up as clear as they did, you wouldn't see a helicopter or a plane from that far on my camera. You wouldn't even see the flashing light. So that just kind of gives a little reference. If you go check out the video, these things were huge.
About how high do you think that that sighting was from where you were standing? I mean, because you could see it pretty clear.
Yeah. I would say, if I was to guess, if you were to compare it to like an apartment building, I would say maybe 20 stories up, maybe 25 stories up. So it was pretty high up there. For you to see it above the hills, it's kind of hard in the video to see, but in the still shots you can kind of see the hills back there. For them to be above the hills are pretty high. So I would imagine from where it was and the height above it, it would probably be 20 to 25 stories in the air. So It was pretty far up there.
Wow. And plus it was massive. I mean, it looks massive. If there was something in the middle connecting those three lights together, because you said they didn't move or shift around or make a different pattern, right? They just kind of stayed lit up.
Yeah. It was almost as if they were connected to something. A lot of people have theories that there is something there and you can't see it, like it's translucent, but they moved in unison as if they were all one. None of them made their own turns or anything. When it was coming across the sky, it was very solid. And then when they stopped, about the time when I started filming is when they actually stopped, and they just sat still in the sky and then turned off as if it was an on-off switch, like a light switch. They were there, and within 2 seconds they were off. And I actually, in the video, you hear me yelling for my roommate. I was able to actually get her attention finally, and we had ran outside, and when we were looking outside, the video was shot through a window without a screen, so it's still not, there's no window or anything like that the video shot through.
Right.
But when I did get my roommate and got downstairs, when we had walked outside, that's when we literally watched it. It just turned off, like right in front of us. And it's like nothing I've ever seen before. Nothing. I've seen Chinese lanterns. I've seen them in person, and I've seen plenty of videos of them. This thing had propulsion for it to go from the side of the sky I was at to go to the other side of the sky. The way it moved as if something, it wasn't the wind pushing it or something floating by. It moved as if it was going somewhere, and then it just dead stopped and turned off like a light switch.
Wow. And it kind of reminds me of the story that I had on, I think it's my number 8 podcast. I had a guest, her name was Elle Jeffries, lived out there in Pecos, New Mexico, right by the Pecos National Forest there. And she lives like in a little ranch road. And there was a neighbor that lived maybe 5 or 6 houses. They have like 1.5 acre, 2 acre lots, right? So she lived about 5 houses down. And she told her that that night the dogs started going crazy. And when she stepped outside to look at it, because you can see the sky like beautiful right there, you know, you're talking 7,000 feet above sea level, so you know the stars are just right there. Anyway, so she steps outside, right, and she looks up at the sky and she goes, "Wait a minute, I can't see no stars. Why can't I see no stars?" I mean, and she looked towards a distance. Okay, I see stars over there and stars on this other side, but there's no stars above me. What's going on? And it was like a triangular shape. In other words, there was a huge, massive craft. This happened at night, late at night, maybe 2-3 o'clock in the morning. There was a huge, massive craft hovering above their area right there. And she said it was like a triangular shape, right? So what you're talking about here, and then you've seen it with your own eyes as well, right? This craft that you video. This question is going to coincide with it. So I'm going to ask you this question. Now that you've seen that, can you pretty much tell the real videos to the fakes?
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
So I personally believe I've got a pretty good eye for it. I actually do on the American UFO Society page. You can check out on Facebook. A good friend of mine, Rodney Thomas, who also hosts his own show called The Awaken Show. We do we're both the founders of the American UFO Society, and we do these UFO video reviews to actually show people. We do show some of the fake videos. We show a lot of real ones too. But we show these videos and we break them down for everybody. We break them down as why we think they're real, why we think they're fake, and give a kind of final conclusion. But it definitely has helped sharpen my eye and stuff like that for some of these fakes. Because, I mean, you do see a lot of fakes out there. There's a live stream of a UFO over Singapore in the clouds, and it's just been playing for like 2 years now. And a lot of people believe it. So the goal of some of these videos is to show people why certain UFOs are real, or at least real footage. It may not be identifiable, but at least it's credible footage, and just kind of break it down for people so that way they can know when they're looking at something real and when they're not.
Right. And if it's caught in a loop, you know, you see the same bird fly by, 10 times, come on. Don't believe that, man. Pretty much, I've seen the video you're talking about, and it just pops up on my feed everywhere because I must be in like maybe 70, UFO groups right now, and the reason is because I want to get as much information I can, because you never know, when you're gonna find something that's really authentic out there that's nobody's seen before. And, and that's what Alien Strand does too, as well. Like you guys, I throw a lot of videos out there, whether I kind of think that they're fake myself, but I throw them out there so that way, they can decide, or we can kind of critique it and have a nice discussion about it. And then if we find out that it's a fake, well, we'll just keep on throwing it out there. If they see it on another group, correct, they'll just go ahead and say, hey, man, I know that's fake, whatever, this is what we found it at, don't believe that garbage. You know what I mean? So, and that's just the way things are, especially with these all these crafts that are out there. Now, when you guys are watching your videos, or you guys are kind of how do you say, like a pre-production of it, kind of not pre-production, but just kind of viewing them, do you use any kind of analyzation filters, or just to try to kind of tell, or you just kind of talk about the whole thing?
Well, yeah, we don't use any filters necessarily to enhance the videos or anything, but just a real thorough breakdown of everything that's going on in the video. If you see, the object itself looks like it's placed there, if it's got brand new shiny paint on it, but the rest of the picture looks like it's in the 1960s. Right. It's a good indicator that somebody put the object in the picture. Right. So a lot of times we'll show the fake ones and then break down like analytically what is so fake about this video. And then, I mean, some of them you may not be able to tell on some of them. Some of them may get passed by as real UFO videos, but you really don't know, because there's just so many different types of UFO crafts out there with different shapes, different speeds, different colors. Sometimes it's hard to tell when you find the gold mine if you're looking at something real or you're looking at something somebody put together. So you just got to try to break it down the best you can.
Right. And the analyzation filters that are out there, a lot of times they're not going to be 100% sure. I mean, it's kind of iffy, it's still kind of iffy on the whole thing, on that, and it's, I use them all the time, and I try to figure out, okay, is this a solid object? What can I do here to try to enhance it a little bit better? Because a lot of people start saying, well, that's reflection from the light bulb. I get that a lot. Or the ones that really kind of nick me in the butt a little bit is the ones where they're taking the actual photo or the video from inside of the car, instead of pulling over, getting out, kind of taking a picture or the video, because then you're going to catch the bugs and everything that's on on the
those
windshield.
Ones are hard.
And
there's have you ever seen the Beaver UFO incident by chance?
Which one?
The Beaver, Utah UFO?
I don't think so. I might have, but it sounds familiar.
It's one of the best high-speed UFO captures ever caught on camera. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of documentaries about it, but a guy was filming B-roll footage for like back scenes in a movie or something, and as he's filming it, all of a sudden this silver disc shoots by the screen. And on the documentary on the Science Channel, they break it down and show that they show a forensic photographer guy that breaks down pictures and makes sure they're real,
right.
And everything about it, from the frames that it moves to the wind that it moves beside it, and everything is 100% authentic. And they judged by the frame of speed from where it was to where it moved. It was going at like 3,400 miles per hour and
wow.
something. And it's one of the best UFO videos I've ever seen. And it moves so fast, you almost don't see it at regular speed. But once the video is slowed down, you see it's a perfect silver disc just shooting through the sky.
Wow. And is that the one where you shot with I saw one that somebody shot with a drone. They were kind of going over top of the mountains or around that area. It's kind of woodsy, and then some object just flies right towards the drone, like right next to it, like shooting.
It might have been filmed with a drone. I'm not sure. I don't remember but that might be it, because it sounds like it was like a mountain range area with a bunch of trees and stuff like that.
Right. And I actually posted a video probably about maybe, I'm going to say 6 months ago. This guy's in his car, right? And he's, I guess, driving down the road. Somebody from the U.S. He's driving down the road, and all of a sudden, he's starting to slow down. This disc comes right towards his windshield and then shoots straight up. You could see it. It slows down the frame by frame on it, and my God, you could tell it's a disc. And it's not photoshopped or anything like that, because the intensity and the speed that it comes at him, you can actually see it. He saw it coming at him, in other words.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, to where he glitched. He kind of moved on the camera because he was like, whoa, and because it shot straight up, like going towards his windshield, and boom, it just went straight up. But and that kind of just reminds me of that. I'm going to see if I can find that video, and I'll put it back out there for all the new people that are out there right now that's been joining Facebook. So after that, so did you get into podcasting like right afterwards, like where y'all put all this stuff together?
Yeah, kind of. After the Triangle sighting, I basically got so much support from people that were just in Lane County that were talking about it. I was like, man, I should go after this a little bit. And through that is kind of how I met Rodney when he was doing the Awaken show, because he was posting a lot of good clips, and I would check him out and stuff like that. I was just kind of doing my own investigations. And he kind of, since he was doing his own show, that's how we decided. He brought me on his own show, on the Awaken show, a couple of times. And then after that, we founded the American UFO Society together. And
nice.
It's me, him, a friend Randy in Florida, and another friend in Florida named Anthony. And we just kind of do group videos together where we reviewed everything. But it was kind of a luck of the draw thing that we met each other, and that's just kind of how it all started. And yeah, we've just been going over stuff. Every time we see something good online, we send it to each other. We've got a little group chat, and we just keep it going. But I'm definitely trying to grow the channel. My personal channel is The Theory with Mike Beavers on Facebook, and you can find all my videos there. And then I also have a lot of my stuff on the YouTube channel, UFOs over UFO. And the UFO stands for University of Oregon. So that kind of helps remember where it's at.
Nice. Yeah, I saw one of the links that you sent me on the Awaken show, and there's about 5 videos, I think, or 6 on there, and I kind of went through every one of those. Those are actually great captures on there. I haven't been through yours yet, but I am going to go through yours, and I'm going to send people your way as well. So, after the podcasting, do people like send you like videos all the time, or they contact you through emails and instant messaging, kind of say, hey, can you check this out for me? Do y'all get it that in that sense?
Oh yeah, we get a lot of messages. I've had quite a few about abductions and things like that. People wanted to tell their personal stories. We do get a lot of secondhand UFO videos. If anybody that watches us finds something really cool, they'll send it to us and stuff for us to review. We have had a couple firsthand accounts of people sending us stuff. I had one guy in Thurmont, Maryland, actually, kind of close to where I'm from. Uh-huh. He had sent me a video of something over a food line. He was at work by his construction truck, and it actually goes through a cloud. Like if you see it's kind of about to rain, and this black object just comes out of this cloud real fast and goes by. And he kind of sent us one and gave us a little video of a description and stuff like that. So we definitely love all the feedback. And anytime if you have a story, if you have a video, you can feel free to send it to any of us, and we'll definitely check it out.
Nice. Okay, so this next question is going to kind of coincide in what you were talking about. Now, have you ever seen a real extraterrestrial?
So I haven't ever seen one. I've got a theory about sort of certain UFOs, some of the smaller ones and drones and stuff like that, or smaller ones that are like the size of drones, that they might actually be unmanned craft that are coming down to check us out, as if just like we would, like when we go to Mars, we don't just drop a person off there to say, hey, check it out, and come back to us a year later. We send down drones, rovers, and things like that to check it out for us. So right. I have this kind of theory that some of these things might even be unmanned, just coming down to do some kind of surveillance for us or something.
Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. You see it all the time. A lot of these, almost like I'm going to say like a ball. It's just like a shape of a ball, and they just come down. People have sent me actual pictures of the sphere kind of looking shape of objects just kind of come down, and they move around real quickly. I think there's a video of one that's actually making a crop circle, and it's like a ball that's doing it. So and you're on point on that as far as the droning and what they're about. And I believe, me personally, that we've been capturing a lot of activity in the sky, UFOs. Maybe let's say 80% or 90% are of all these crafts or different kind of shapes, sizes, or forms. But we never really see an actual extraterrestrial on the ground. And the ones that we do see, I mean, a lot of them look really CGI, stuff like that, where it's kind of hard to believe. But my personal belief on that is, because I've been, reading a lot of stuff on the Greys and a lot of stuff on extraterrestrials. And I believe that the Greys, the reason we don't see too much of them on the ground is because, they're having a hard time breathing in our atmosphere. It's breathable for us perfectly, right? But when a lot of these abductees get caught up inside of their ships, they claim that it's hard for them to breathe inside of there. Like the air is so thick, humid sometimes, to where it's like they're barely gasping for air inside of there. And these extraterrestrials can actually breathe in that. And I think that's why we don't see them too much on the ground. And getting videos and stuff like that. Now, on that theory, I'm just going to ask you this one real quick. Do you kind of believe in the hybridization that, when people talk about them, or I even spoke about them myself, on what their agenda is, or what's your beliefs on that?
So as far as that goes, I haven't dug too far deep in it. I do believe in a lot of the ancient alien theory, and if that is the case and they have been here forever, I think it's a possibility they could have maybe seeded us here, and that's why they want to check up on us. They keep coming. They keep, maybe taking people every once in a while and experimenting or checking people out. So it would make sense in that if they brought us down here and maybe, seeded us with some sort of primate, and that's how we got our intelligence and everything, because we're the only real intelligent life here. There's nothing that can build buildings, cars, and spaceships and travel to space and other planets like we can. So it's strange that we're the only ones with intelligence. So I believe it in a sense of it may have already happened, but I haven't gone down the route of believing that they're still doing there's half human hybrids walking around. I haven't really confirmed that with myself yet, so I haven't gone too far down that road. Anything's possible because it's the great unknown. You really don't know. But I myself haven't had any experiences where I would necessarily go down that route yet. Right.
And what kind of links to what you were talking about is the Joe Rogan experience. He talks about this one. I guess it's a primate. It's an ape or whatever hanging from a tree. Right. You see it, and it has a spear in its hand, and it's actually fishing with that spear. So it's already learned to do that already. In other words, what he was trying to say that possibly that it's starting to evolve all over again. You know what I mean? Like they're starting to learn. So who's to say in 1,000 years from now it's not going to change again? You know, and plus what and what we're seeing in the oceans, the pyramids are linked up to all together. You know, they'll find hieroglyphs, or even with Jeff Woolwine with his petroglyphs. You know, everything kind of links up with extraterrestrials in that sense. You know, and it kind of gives you something to think about. I mean, is that what your take is on that, pretty much?
Yeah. I did a show with Jeff Woolwine, actually, and
Nice.
he's got some really interesting theories and a lot of cool videos. And he has discovered petroglyphs in Arizona and does tours through them to talk to people about them. But there's like these portals basically carved in them, and a lot of his UFO sightings and stuff, he believes they might be living entities, and it's a pretty good theory. If they've been here forever, Indians have, you know, carved these petroglyphs and stuff like that to show that that's what they were seeing and everything, and that's a really cool theory, and it definitely that goes full on with ancient alien theory and stuff like that. He's got a lot of good ideas about stuff and some cool stuff back in it.
Yeah, he's got a cool book as well. I mean, I had him on the show about 6 months ago, maybe, and he sent me the book, and I went right through it, and it was great. Even Dr. Alan Greer talks about how these crafts are alive, you know, biological. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he's it probably all coincides together in that sense too. And then going back to the abductions and all that stuff, you know, how you talked about that these crafts are possibly drones. You know, they're smaller ships. You know, Bob Lazar, when he went into S4. They had him kind of looking into just one craft. They only allowed him to see one craft, and it was just your typical disc-shaped craft. He said this thing was no bigger than a small car, right? So, and he says that when he walked in there, he stuck his head in there, that any human could barely fit inside of this thing, right? So, and it had 2 floors. In other words, it just had an upper level and a lower level. The upper level had 2 little seats in it. He said a regular human being could not even fit in that chair. So the extraterrestrials, the photos that he saw, he says that these little beings were probably about maybe 3.5 to 4 feet tall, right? That they're possibly fit inside of this craft. But hence gives you the notion that these little crafts that small, I don't think you're gonna get abducted and taken into one of those.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. I feel like that with all the different types of UFOs and stuff like that, there's some charts that reference them, but there's just countless numbers and sizes and different things of UFOs. And I feel like it's going to be the bigger UFO, but it's going to be what's going to come if it does an abduction. If it's that scenario, I feel like it would be some of the bigger UFOs you might see, like the triangles or anything like that. Definitely not the smaller saucer ones.
Right, and those like we talked about earlier, the triangular shapes. You know, they those things are huge. They're massive. You know, so I mean, why not abduct somebody or take them inside of something that big? I'm sure they would have a lot more room. And then, like I've done a lot of podcasts on a lot of my stories are older, like in the 50s and the 60s, you know, 70s, you know, and people talk about the size of these crafts, you know, and they talk about that they're like 40 feet long, you know, 30 feet long. You know, about the size of a bus maybe, or a large, huge RV, you know, maybe bigger. But it's not going to be this tiny little, you know, drone-sized craft that they're going to abduct you in. And, you know, it makes sense. You know, it makes sense what you said, that you know, it's going to be something huge that's going to abduct somebody. And I've already had one guest on that was abducted, and how she talks about this size of this craft and how she was taken into another one. But I mean, since we got your theories on that, what do you think about like we talked about the pyramids? What do you think about Antarctica? Those pyramids. What do you think about that?
So Antarctica is definitely an awesome place for UFO activity and stuff like that. You do hear some pretty cool stories coming out of there. The one that sticks with me most is I actually heard, I watched a documentary on it. I don't remember the name of it. It was a History Channel documentary. It might have even been Ancient Aliens, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But these pilots, they were medic pilots, and one of the engineers on one of these Antarctica bases was injured. He was electrocuted or burned, and they had to med flight him to like the hospital base, I guess, on Antarctica. And when there's this huge no-fly zone that is across this large portion of it, and they weren't supposed to drive or fly through it, but the guy that they were transporting was in bad shape. They were like, okay, well, we're just going to go through the no-fly zone. But it's weird that even on a giant sheet of ice, why would there be a no-fly zone? So that was just weird for the start. But when they flew over this no-fly zone, they apparently seen a giant black hole that was massive. They kind of show a description of it on the documentary. But just this massive black hole through the middle of this giant ice patch, and there was no water in it. It just looked like a deep, dark black hole. And they were reprimanded for it when they arrived at the medical base because they flew over the no-fly zone. They were told not to talk about it. You weren't supposed to do that and everything else. And it stuck with me as the classic case of military versus UFO. Don't talk about it. You never seen that. You were never here.
Wow. Do you remember about what date period that happened in?
I know it was like early I want to say between maybe 1940s and 1950s. Definitely really early date stuff. It was definitely early stuff.
Right. And I heard a story, and this was back, I guess, in that era, maybe the 30s or 20s, I guess, possibly the 30s, that there was, there's a story floating around there, and I've already ran into it like maybe 3 or 4 times, that this pilot was flying over Antarctica back in the day, and he sees the same hole that you described, but it's kind of like a cloud-based hole, and it's kind of going down. So he decided to fly down into that hole. So when he flew down into that hole, he says when he popped out on the other side, that it was like another Earth down there. Like there was trees, there was mountains, there was sun, there was a sky. You know what I mean? And he was seeing people walk around there. You know, kind of strange. You know, and because he was flying this plane that didn't go in really high altitudes, because back then those planes couldn't go that high, right? So you're talking like those double wing planes, almost like the Red Baron kind of looking plane. So he's in one of these kind of planes, and so he's basically flying in a low space and not so high up there, but he's looking at this, kind of does a real quick flyby, turns around and comes back out, and when he shoots back out, he turns around and look back. Well, that hole was gone again, right? So that just kind of strange that happened there in Antarctica, right? Kind of coincides with your story a little bit.
Interdimensional sounding.
Yeah, and of course the story of Linda Howe, that there's supposed to be some kind of alien base down there. These walls are supposed to be 30, 40 feet up high. They have nothing but markings all up on the walls. I do have a YouTube video of her that she talks about this with these two naval officers. She doesn't give their names, of course, because they want her to remain anonymous. But she does give the full details on what they experienced and what they saw down there. So, on your theory on that, do you think that that's like a high, like a high rate where there's nothing, a lot of activity there? In other words, what I'm trying to say, there in Antarctica.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's the only place that there's not humans. So what better place to have, a possible base or some sort of something that the military doesn't want you to see, because nobody has any control over Antarctica or anything like that. So it just makes you kind of wonder, since if nobody owns it, no other countries have attempted to own Antarctica and any of that. So it's very strange. So it definitely has that appeal that it could have some sort of major activity going on. Yeah, and it's at the polar caps, correct? So you're looking at maybe a strong energy field up on above and below. So now that the snow is melting somewhat up there, and these mountains are starting to get exposed, which you're starting to see all over the internet now, that these 3 mountains, they almost look like pyramids, kind of looking. Do you think that they'll possibly find something up there? The only reason I ask that, because I know that they just don't let a regular person, Joe Schmo, go up there and look around, because all the nations got together, all the countries, and they said, okay, look, we'll allow you to go on a boat. You can go there, but you can only go like maybe
so many yards into the land, because you have to protect all the environment, all the species that are out there, the animals and what have you. So everything's kind of restricted in that sense, right? So and it kind of makes you wonder about that. I mean, why are you going to do that so much to where we can't go in there? And I know the probability of freezing to death is much higher, of course, up there, and that's probably why they don't want you to go too deep up there. But it just gets you to wonder, is there something hidden up there, on these? Do you believe that maybe someday that we'll probably find something there?
It's definitely possible. I know I've seen things where scientists are worried that when ice melts, when ice cap melts, that old viruses could actually come back to life that might have been frozen from a long time ago, and other like biomechanisms, like real small ones, like microscopic things and stuff like that. And they're worried that when the ice melts, that they could actually see new types of viruses, new types of bacteria and stuff like that actually come back to life after being in the ice. So I think it's definitely possible they could end up finding something pretty weird up there when some of the ice melts.
And that makes a lot of sense, really. I mean, something biological like that would kind of be alien-like, right? Like what we're going to call it, because we don't know what it is yet. I mean, we're just barely living, let's say the natural lifespan of a regular human being, let's give it 100 years, okay? We don't know anything before that. We don't know anything 200, 300, 400, 500 years before that, because Antarctica or whatever was not frozen at the time, It was just a piece of land. So what makes you think that there wasn't something, biological there that's buried there that could be dangerous, right? So that's that's a strong possibility. But Michael, thank you for being on the show. You gave us a lot of insight, all the new listeners today. And where can my listeners and from the listeners from Alien Strand, where can they find you?
All right, so you can check me out on Facebook at the Theory with Mike Beavers Facebook page. I post a lot of my stuff there. You can also find me on YouTube at UFOs over U of O, as in University of Oregon, so UFOs over U of O. You can also find a lot of my content on the American UFO Society Facebook page, which I co-founded with my partner Rodney Thomas, and you can contact either one of us through his page too, The Awakened Show on Facebook or YouTube.
And they can email you there as well and call, or just email?
Yes. I believe my email is on there. You can also send the page a message. We always check messages and everything like that. We definitely make it a good point to get back to everybody as quick as possible.
Nice. Well, thank you, Michael. And here at Alien Strand, we're very proud of you, of what you're doing and how you're giving the information out there and spreading the information to everybody. Because, I go to a lot of these group sites as well, and a lot of these videos, they'll just keep it there in their group. They won't spread it out to anybody. I keep mine towards public, so if they want to share it, they can share it, or even put their own name on it. It don't matter. But as long as the information gets out there and like what you are doing and your buddies are doing, you all put together something really nice, and to where it gets everybody well informed on what's a real UFO possibly, and how you guys break it down, and you do such a good job on it. I saw the videos, great job, and and we thank you for that, and we thank you for being on the show today.
For sure. The information is the biggest part of everything, is getting everybody the right information, teaching them on what's real, what's not real. Well, we can't really say what's not real yet, but, just kind of coaching people on what to look for and stuff like that. So it's definitely a good time, and I'm definitely looking forward to putting out a lot more content. And it's been a great time being on your show.
Nice. Well, thank you. This has been number 46, the Real UFO Talk. Maybe next time we'll do the Real UFO Talk too. If people enjoy this one, we'll do another one, and that way, our listeners can get, more comfortable with everything. And what I'll do is I'll put a bunch of links to your pages through this podcast, so people can find you on there as well. So in other words, if they want to find you, they can't remember everything, just kind of click the little I notification or what's the podcast about. You'll see all the links there. They can click there, and it'll take them right to your YouTube, your Facebook, or your personal page, whichever one you want. But thank you, Michael, again for being on the show. I really appreciate you, and then we'll catch you next time. All right.
For sure. I look forward to it, man. Have a good night. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You too. Have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, there you have it. That was a great interview. I had a great time, talking with Michael. I hope he gave you guys a lot of information on what he saw and what he experienced, and then everything that he's had on his show as well. Like he said, you can go to his YouTubes or they're on Facebook, and see what they've been putting out there, and they're doing the same thing, putting out the information for you guys, so that way, we're all learning here, and we're all spreading the information, so that way, we can all just put this large puzzle together and figure out exactly, what's out there, what's in our skies, what's in our forests, what's in the mountains, what's walking around out there. There's these things that we just don't understand sometimes. And with everybody's help and even other people's intellect and the things that they've experienced by personal experience, we can put these pieces together and figure out exactly, what's possibly out there. There's still a lot of hypothetical ways of saying things and theories about things that are out there. But it's getting closer to the truth, to where those theories are not just going to be theories anymore. They're actually going to be actual fact. So, and I think we're getting there already. I think we're starting to get there, with people like Michael Beavers and all his friends and his shows that they have there, the Awaken Show, they're helping everybody, trying to find the answers as well. And I hope you go to his pages. I'll link everything, like I said, to this podcast. So, if you don't remember everything, you can just click that little eye that's on the information on this podcast, and then you'll see the actual links that I'm going to put on the show. So I'm glad you guys got a lot of information today, and I hope it's helped you guys. It's helped me. It was a great conversation. I hope we do it again. So as soon as we get some more information, we'll put it out to you guys. This has been the Real UFO Talk here on Alien Strand Podcast. I just want you guys to enjoy today's podcast. You can catch us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and alienstrand.com. It's been my pleasure to bring this story out to you guys and to bring this awesome interview. But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
John McGavick, and you're listening to the Alien Strand Podcast with Donald Ledesma. Catch my channel, Mars Discoveries 123 on YouTube. Hit me a like and subscribe. I'll see you there.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.